All right, let's dive right in. If you're working with AWS, you know exactly how this goes. You start with one account, then two, and pretty soon you're wrangling a whole fleet of them. And the big problem? Your application data, all your precious logs, metrics, and traces, they're scattered all over the place. So how in the world do you get a single source of truth? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down. We're going to look at the native tools AWS Cloudwatch gives you to cut through all that noise and get a unified view across your entire cloud.
I mean, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? We've all been there. An alarm goes off at 2 in the morning, and the very last thing you want to do is scramble between a dozen browser tabs, logging in and out of different accounts, just trying to piece together what's actually happening. You know, this fragmentation, it isn't just annoying. It creates these really dangerous operational blind spots that can turn a tiny little issue into a full-blown outage.
So, here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to navigate what I call the multi-account maze. Then, we'll light up the 3 distinct paths to clarity that AWS gives us. After that, we'll pit them against each other in a little feature face-off to see where each one really shines. We'll then put a spotlight on what is probably the most powerful option for your day-to-day operations. And finally, we'll wrap it all up so you can walk away knowing exactly how to build the right strategy for your team.
Okay, so let's cut right through that maze. To solve this exact problem, AWS Cloudwatch offers 3 distinct paths to get you to clarity. And what's really important to know is that these aren't competing products. They're powerful, complementary features designed to work together. So let's meet the contenders. First up, we have cross-account observability. Now, the best way to think about this is like your central mission control. It creates a single, unified dashboard where all your critical operational data, your telemetry, it all streams in from your other accounts. You get one pane of glass to see absolutely everything, your performance metrics, your application logs, and your request traces, all correlated in one spot in real time.
Next up, we've got the cross-account console. Now, this one's a little different. If the first tool was your mission control, think of this one more like a master key. Instead of bringing all the data to you, it takes you to the data. From one central account, you can instantly pivot into the console of any of your other accounts and see their dashboards and alarms just like you were logged in directly. It's all about access, not aggregation.
And our third tool is log centralization. This is your deep storage, your central archive. Its one and only job is to copy logs from every single account and every region and just pour them into one central bucket. This is an absolute must-have for when you need to look back in time for security audits, compliance checks, or any kind of deep forensic analysis.
So here's the most crucial point to take away. This is not a choice between A, B, or C. These are all just different tools in a toolbox. You can use just one, or you can use all 3 of them together to build a really comprehensive monitoring strategy that fits your needs perfectly. All right, now for the fun part. Let's put these 3 solutions head-to-head. By comparing them side by side, we're going to see the key trade-offs really clearly, which will make it super obvious which tool is the right one for which job.
This table really lays it all out, doesn't it? Let's focus on 2 key rows here. First, data movement. Notice that observability shares a live view of the data. No copies are made. Log centralization, on the other hand, copies the data. That is a huge difference that impacts both your bill and your data architecture. Then take a look at region support. If your teams are spread out globally, you can see right away that observability's single region focus might be a deal breaker, which would push you toward the other 2.
And this right here just perfectly illustrates the philosophical difference between the first 2 tools. Cross-account observability brings all the data to you for one big, unified experience. But the cross-account console, it takes you to the data, letting you switch your context to see things from the perspective of the source account. So one is all about aggregation, and the other is about delegation.
Let's just visualize one of those key decision points. If your apps and your teams are spread out across multiple AWS regions all around the world, this chart is absolutely critical. The cross-account console and log centralization, those are your go-to solutions for that global view. Cross-account observability, for all of its power, is really designed to unify everything within just one single region.
Okay, so based on that face-off, let's zoom in on cross-account observability. AWS itself calls this the richest experience, so let's unpack exactly why that is, especially if you're operating mostly inside a single region.
Now, this quote comes straight from the AWS documentation. And you know, when the folks who built the platform tell you that this is the richest experience, it's probably worth paying attention to. It's really designed for that deep, unified analysis, where you can seamlessly correlate metrics, logs, and traces from different accounts as if they were all one.
So, how does it all work? Well, the architecture is actually beautifully simple. You just designate one central account as your monitoring account, and a little pro tip here, make this a brand new dedicated account. It just keeps things clean and secure. This is your viewer. All of your other application accounts, they become source accounts. They're the sharers, and they just grant the monitoring account secure, read-only permission to see their data.
The magic that actually connects these accounts is what's called a sync and link model. Here's how it works. Your central monitoring account creates something called a sink. Just think of it like opening up a secure mailbox. Then, each source account creates a link to that sink, which is kind of like getting a key to that mailbox. And boom, that establishes the secure connection, all managed by IAM, letting all that telemetry flow from the sources to your central monitoring account.
And in case you're wondering if this thing can handle your organization's scale, well, the answer is almost certainly yes. A single monitoring account can link to and view data from up to 100,000 source accounts. Yeah, it's built for massive enterprise-level environments.
And now, for maybe the best part of all, the cost. Setting up this amazing, unified view with cross-account observability costs you nothing extra. Zero. You still pay for the data you ingest in your source accounts, of course, but the actual act of sharing it to this central dashboard is completely free. That is an absolute game changer for centralizing your monitoring without blowing up your budget.
Okay, we've met the contenders, we've compared their strengths, and we've done a deep dive on the heavyweight, cross-account observability. So now for our final section, let's bring it all home. How do you actually build your strategy and choose the right tool for your team? Don't worry. Let's make it really simple.
Here it is. This is your decision-making cheat sheet. If you need real-time correlated troubleshooting in one region, your answer is cross-account observability, period. If you just need to quickly peek into different accounts all across the globe, you want the cross-account console. And for that long-term compliance and archiving, it's log centralization, hands down. And of course, the ultimate pro strategy, combine all three to cover every possible angle.
You know, as our cloud environments get more and more complex and distributed, bringing all that data together into a single, coherent view is no longer a nice-to-have. It is an absolute necessity. It kind of makes you wonder, once we've totally mastered visibility, what's the next great challenge we're going to have to solve in managing these huge digital estates? Something to think about.